All right, Saturday morning, John Chapman in the house. We're doing our regular Saturday stream, co-stream on both channels. We're going to talk a little bit about the combine. We're going to talk a little bit about the offseason. We're going to get into the Niners right now. All right, welcome to the Krueger Show meets the 49er Rush podcast. Larry Krueger, John Chapman with you on a Saturday morning. Brought to you on my end by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket. Tell them that Krug sent you. We're also brought to you by my friend Anthony Catania's Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles. Anthony's at 831-521-5264. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove along the Monterey Peninsula. We're going to stop by and say hello to Anthony on our way to spring training, and looking forward to seeing him and going down to Sharp Corners. Thanks to them for being a proud sponsor. And as you can see over John's head, Mancini's Sleep World is a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. Guys, you can save 10% across the board on your mattress purchase. All you got to do is tell them you know me. Krug 10. Type in Krug 10, K-R-U-E-G 10. You'll get 10% off at any of Mancini's locations, and they got a bunch, or online at sleepworld.com. Krug 10, K-R-U-E-G 10. You'll get 10% off your mattress purchase. Thanks to Mancini's for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, we're off and running. One of my favorite streams of the week is this Saturday stream. John, really enjoying streaming with you the last few weeks, and it's been really great. It kind of takes me back to the origins of the channel. I think you were probably one of the very first people that I ever reached out to and started streaming with when I first started the channel. And it's very cool to rap with you every week. And how's your week gone?
Oh, it's been awesome, man. We're now into draft world, right? Because everybody's just talking about the draft. And free agency's next, but like you open up the Twitter line and you're scrolling or whatever, and it's just video breakdowns of all these prospects. And I'm just like, this is my time. These are my people. So I am 100% just invested into this time, and I'm so excited. And I got to tell you, man, you were doing that ad read, and I got to say, man, I tell people I know Krug all the time. That works not only at Mancini's but everywhere else. I know Krug. And that it's a door opener doors,
or door slammer, one or the other. You'll get a reaction. You may be welcomed in. They may call the cops, but either way, you'll get a reaction.
Oh, man. But no, I'm excited to be here, and this has turned into one of my favorite times of the week as well. We always go like off the wall crazy, and I kind of like it because it's like, man, you in these conversations, Larry, you figure out how much you really, really like a guy, or if you're like, man, I like him, maybe I like him a little bit less. And that's kind of where this is, especially pre-combine. And as we're heading into the combine week, there's guys that you're like, man, I really, really like this player. But do I like him as much as I thought I did originally, or is this other wide receiver, this other tight end? And that's kind of where we're at right now, is the sifting through the whole Tyler Warren debate, which I don't know about you, but I've been asked about Tyler Warren 100 plus times. He's not my tight end one. I have Colston Loveland as my tight end one. And so as I'm going through this, I'm just like, man, I actually like this other guy a little bit more than the guy everybody keeps asking about. And so we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how the combine goes.
Well, I'm with you. And, the draft, somebody once told me, and before we get rolling here on the conversation, one more mention on the channel. Kev has created a brand new Krug Show newsletter, and it's free. And the link is in the description and will be in the description for all of the shows. So if you want to get a little closer to the Krug Show, we have a regular newsletter coming out, and there's the first edition of it is out right now. The link is in the description. And as we said, it's 100% free. So check out the Krug Show newsletter, and we'll have lots of information in that thing as we go. Now I just forgot what we were talking about. But basically, we were talking about
I started tight ends.
Tight ends.
Going a curveball already.
Well, yeah,
I know we got free agency coming too.
Well, tight ends, I was going to say, and I know a couple scouts who think that Harold Fannin Jr. from Bowling Green is going to wind up being the the guy that people look back on this draft and go, oh my God, you missed on that guy, because he's a great receiver and he's a strong inline blocker. He just lacks a little height. But nonetheless, we are in full off-season mode. The combine starts in a week. The draft prep has already begun. I just had Jackson Slater on from Sac State this week. I like to interview some of the draft guys, and it's always fun. But the one thing I wanted to start today with is that, last year the Niners kind of didn't have a great offseason free agency-wise. They had a really good draft, and then they, instead of going for like one for sure free agent, they said, well, we don't have that kind of money. Let's spread it around because we need multiple needs. And so they brought in Malik Collins and Jordan Elliott and Leonard Floyd and others, Devondre Campbell. We know how that worked out. We'll talk about him later on, or not. But they didn't have, 2 years ago, they had, okay, we're going to go all in on one big free agent. And they went after Javon Hargrave, and I think it was kind of a bomb. The year before that, they said, we're going to go all in on one free agent. And they went for Mooney Ward, and they landed a top guy. So this offseason, they've had a lot of time to think about it, a lot of time to have their skull sessions and their meetings and plan out their offseason. And I know people around the team, and I know people who cover the team, that believe that the 49ers are going to make a big, unplanned for splash of some kind this spring, either in the draft or via trade or in free agency. And I thought we could, talk about that a little bit. I mean, do you see, what do you see as potential splash moves that we're maybe not talking about? We talked a lot about, hey, can they get Max Crosby? Hey, can they get Myles Garrett? Outside of those, guys, do you see a move out there that we're not necessarily maybe anticipating, that you said, you know what, the more I think about it, I could see that makes sense. The Niners could make this big splash. What do you think? Is there anybody out there that comes to mind?
Man, if I want to go real crazy and swing for the fences, there's an opportunity to get who my vote for Defensive Player of the Year this past season would have been. Yeah, you saw him in the Super Bowl. Off-the-ball linebacker is a big need for the 49ers, and we saw what happened. I know everybody wants Dre Greenlaw back. I want Dre Greenlaw back as well. But what if you go get somebody like Zach Bond? I'm not saying the 49ers will, but I'm telling you, that was my vote for Defensive Player of the Year. I don't have a vote, Larry. You know this. But if I did, that would have been my guy. Absolutely unbelievable what he has done. Vic Fangio turned that dude, and he's going to get, 16 to 18 million a year. Now, whenever you say 16 to 18 million a year, that's a lot, but off-ball linebacker is so depreciated. Why not pair him up with Fred Warner? You look at what Robert Saleh did with the Jets. He had two of the best linebackers in the NFL back-to-back next to each other. I mean, he just did such a damn good job. So that's one where I'm like, I doubt they do it, but man, the Devondre Campbell, but just whatever grossness that is, and he's still talking on social media, but whatever. Like, go get somebody that could be that guy, and you've got your 1-2 punch, turnovers galore. I would be very happy with that.
Okay, I like that. And that is an unanticipated splash. I'll give you a couple names from that exact same game. What do you think of trying going to the well one more time for an Eagle defensive tackle in Milton Williams? He's coming into his own. He had a couple sacks in that game, I believe. He's a really, really high motor, excellent athlete, interior rusher. Think of a better version of Kentavious Street. Faster, strong, not as strong maybe, but maybe faster and definitely a better pass rusher. Milton Williams, and I'll give you one more from that same game that it's not even my idea. I saw somebody else write this. I think it was on Niners Nation. Kyle Posey had this one. You know Kyle Posey, right?
Great guy.
He had let me see if I can find. He had Nick Bolton. Somebody wrote Nick Bolton, the Chiefs linebacker, as a potential 49er get in free agency. What do you think of the possibility of adding somebody like that? I mean, Nick Bolton can run like the wind. He's incredibly fast. He's a little short. Chiefs are going to have some Some cap issues probably. Yeah, so the negotiating window is less than a month away, and the cap went up more than 25. It was supposed to go up 20 million. It's going to go up closer to 30 million. And one of the Pro Football Network had an article about this. Who's matching, potential guys to each team, and they have the Niners with Nick Bolton. And the commentary says the 49ers are coming off a tough season, but they're in a relatively good position regarding their roster as a whole. The main positions they need to address are O-line, D-line, and linebacker. It's intriguing to put a player like Nick Bolton next to Fred Warner. Bolton was the centerpiece of the Chiefs' defense and has a chance to be Warner's longtime partner in the center of the Niner defense. The Niners have put a high importance on the position before. He could be the next evolution of that. He's got 300 tackle seasons in his first 4 years. He's a really underrated delayed blitzer, versatile piece. He says it may feel like a luxury for the Niners, but he can get after the passer or drop into coverage. And the thought of Warner and Bolton together in a defense will be terrifying for opposing defenses. John, the guy doesn't turn 25 until March, so he's a young man for sure. So he only missed one game last year, and it was week 18 when the Chiefs didn't play their starters, so he really doesn't miss time. Though in 2023 he did miss over half the year with a wrist injury, but for the most part he's been healthy. Former second-round pick, super fast. What do you think of Milton Williams or the possibility of Nick Bolton?
Yeah, probably my favorite thing about both of them is the youth. They're both 24 years old currently. You go back to Javon Hargrave. He was 29 when you brought him over. There's a big difference there. And so what I really enjoy about Nick Bolton is I remember scouting him in college. Like, he was the most Fred Warner off-ball linebacker that we've seen since Fred Warner. So he fits the Niners scheme. Now he's coming off his worst year. You could argue probably the last 2 years are his worst 2 years. As a rookie in his second year, it looked like this guy was going to be an all-pro through and through. Took some setbacks with the wrist injury, like you said, but he's going to be a lot cheaper option than a Zach, Bond. I think you could probably get, Nick Bolton for that $8 to $10 million range a year, which is about what Drake Greenlaw is going to get, but you don't have the injury concerns, whatever else. Again, I'm going Greenlaw, but we're playing the game. What are we going to do in free agency? So Nick Bolton fits 100% with what we do. Now, Milton Williams, that is a bigger need for the 49ers. And I understand, well, Javon Hargrave didn't work out. Why would we go back? Milton Williams is a completely different player. Like he's been a rotational piece, and you're going to pay rotational piece values. You paid top of the market for an aging vet in Javon Hargrave that did not pan out. You're getting a guy 5 years prior to where you would have signed Javon Hargrave at a fraction of the cost. He's not getting $20 million a year. He's going to get close to that 12 to 15, which still you're paying him to be a starter, but I think that he can do that. He's an all-around defensive tackle that if you talk to any Philly content creator, fan, whatever, Milton Williams is beloved by all. He just was one of those glue pieces that fit, that is ready for a full-time starter role. I would be very, very happy. The Niners would worst position group for the 49ers, defensive tackle currently. You need to address that in the draft and free agency. Milton Williams gets you closer to that.
We got this great one from NYNers. He's like, Larry's vodka looks like water. Well played. Thank you. Yes.
There we go.
I'm a hard drinking man. If I can't have a tall glass of Smirnoff at 9:26 in the morning on the West Coast, I mean, what the hell?
What are we doing here? You know what I mean? What are we doing? I thought this was American. I'm a tequila guy, but you do you, man.
Well, there is clear tequila. I mean, there is, that's kind of some of my favorite kind of tequila. I don't know if I ever told you my story. Have you ever heard of, you teach high school, right?
You used to. Yes, sir.
Have you heard of Close Up?
Close Up
was a program where they would take kids from high school and send them to the Capitol.
Oh, no.
Okay. So we flew, and so I was like a junior in high school. We flew to DC for this week-long trip of the Capitol, right? And, we had like one day to explore the city by ourselves, right? Well, me and a couple of knuckleheads and there's snow everywhere, by the way. We were there, it was like right after the biggest snowstorm in like 25 years. So there's literally snow all throughout DC, everywhere we're going. We go to Georgetown. We're walking around, and one of my buddies has a fake ID, and we're in high school, and he goes into a liquor store and he buys a bottle of tequila. Okay. And now we're walking through Georgetown as juniors in high school, ripped on tequila. It felt like we were walking through snow, John. By the time we got to the bottom of that tequila bottle, it felt like we were walking on a beach.
Hey, man.
It was like sand everywhere.
It's the Russian thermometer. That's what that is. And so you're going to warm up the insides as best you can. That is an experience.
Wow.
Love it, man. Love it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's talk about a couple other cap casualties of interest. Joey Bosa. Are you interested? Do you want to pair Joey and Nick? Who wears 97? Who gives it up for his brother? Or does his brother wear 99? They both wear 97, right?
They both wear 97, but yeah, Nick would keep it, obviously.
Yeah,
I think it's a great idea. The value, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to see. Is I don't want to pay top dollar for Joey Bosa. I don't think anybody does. Misses about half the games nowadays. But even if you're just going to get him for 8 to 10 games, that's huge. You put him on a snap count rotation with Leonard Floyd. Dude, that is perfect. Bosa on one side, you rotate those other two on the other side. That's a match made in heaven. And so understand Joey Bosa's a premium pass rusher, definitely a top 10 guy, but he's not what he was. And I don't think that he ever was on Nick Bosa's level, but that doesn't mean he's not worth it. It's just, and again, like everybody wants to talk, Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson. Joey Bosa is going to be free. You don't have to give up draft capital. You just have to give up salary cap capital. Whereas all those other players, you have to give up draft and salary cap, which I'm usually almost always against. Myles Garrett's my one exception. I would trade for him. If I could trade for Max Crosby, probably would trade for him. Trey Hendrickson, probably not. But I would much rather get Joey Bosa for free. So I love the idea. Can he give a little bit of a hometown discount? That's the question. And I'm not so sure he will. I hope he will, but Bosa's like their money.
I've got a couple names that, once again, they're a little bit off the reservation, but this is what we do. We float out ideas and we discuss them, and this is the time to do it. Okay, so the Niners, I think, have a very interesting predicament at receiver because they have Ayuk under contract. They're going to try to trade or release Deebo. We'll get into that. But Deebo's obviously not going to be here. Ayuk's not going to be here probably in the first maybe half of the year. And can the 49ers win a Super Bowl or even contend for the playoffs if they have no Deebo, no Ayuk, and no additional receiver or something? I don't think they can get it done with Pearsall cowing JJ. I don't think that's going to be good enough. And a guy who I read this week could be a cap casualty. They're saying he may get traded before he's a cap casualty for a day 3 pick. But they're saying Jacksonville is going to move on from Evan Engram. And it wasn't that long ago that Evan Engram was, last year he had a little bit of a down year. The year before that, though, he was one of the best receiving tight ends in football. What do you think of, since you don't have Ayuk, but you are going to get him back, so maybe it doesn't make sense to really go get another receiver, but maybe it makes sense to go get a receiving tight end of note like Engram. And now you've got 12 personnel all day with Engram and Kittle, and maybe you get around the time that you don't have Ayuk by adding a veteran tight end who can catch the heck out of the football. What do you think of Evan Engram coming to the Niners?
Yeah, I think it makes absolutely perfect sense, to be honest with you, Larry. Kyle Shanahan uses more 12 personnel than any coach in the NFL. Almost exclusively, it's 21 and 12 personnel. Kyle Juszczyk, I think that's being faded out a little bit more as time goes on. So 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. I think that the 49ers desperately need to add not 1, but 2 additional tight ends. And I think that there's 2 molds that have to be addressed here. You need a move tight end, that is an Evan Engram, and you need an inline tight end, that additional blocker, that Charlie Warner role. You need both. Obviously, Kittle's Kittle, but you don't want to force Kittle into just the blocking role, and you don't want to force Kittle into just the passing role. So the 49ers almost always go into every single game with 3 to 4 tight ends active. Bring in a guy like Evan Engram over, who is that move piece. He's not the best blocker. He had 172 inline snaps last year, which is a little higher than I thought. But again, let's be real. He's not what you want blocking in this 49ers scheme. I think this would be an absolute home run pick. We have yet to see Kyle Shanahan and George Kittle together with another receiving tight end option. We had Jordan Reed for that one brief window, but him and George Kittle never even played a game together completely. The one time that they were both in the lineup, Reed got hurt before we could even see what that would look like. So I think that this is a smash hire. It's just, how cheap would he be if you're getting him on a 1-year deal? Let's say a 1-year, $7 million deal with incentives. Oh, man, I'm in. Tight end is so important to the 49ers in 2025.
Okay, so that's one idea. The other idea, I went through about 10 different articles this week looking for, typing in just cap casualties, and seeing what was out there, and who's rumored to be potentially lopped off. And I'll tell you, it was an interesting study. One, because some of the articles I read had six 49ers being lopped off, including one of them said Juwan Jennings would be a cap casualty. Now, and I know that that's not happening. No. Juwan's not going to be a cap casualty. Juwan is going to be back. But they had like Greenlaw, Malik Collins, Yatir Gross-Matos, Kyle Juszczyk, somebody else, one or two other guys. But so a lot of interesting names. But one of the names that I thought was interesting that made me go, I wouldn't mind having that guy. It would change the dynamic, and it would definitely be well responded to, I think, by 49er fans. And that is Jason Sanders, the Dolphins kicker, who's a 30-year-old kicker. And they're saying the Dolphins may wind up making him a cap casualty. He made 90% of his field goals this year. He made 93% of his PATs. He had a really good year. I mean, he was perfect from under 30. He was perfect under 40. He was 5 of 7, 40 to 49. He was 12 of 14 on 50 plus. His long was 57. He's only 29 years old. And this guy was a 7th round pick in 2018. I mean, I don't know about you, but to me, if Jake Moody is brought back, and I don't care if he's brought back and he wins a competition, I don't care when it is, I'm going to have Jake Moody stress every single time Jake Moody lines up, because I think he's proven at this point that he's hit or miss. He's got a big leg, but he doesn't always hit it. He misses right, he misses left, he doesn't strike it consistently. I'd be very nervous to bring him back. And even if they bring him back, even if they bring in a competitor, I don't want to see them invest any more picks in these guys. No more picks on kickers. That's it. That's my rule. You can't pick a kicker. You can't pick a punter. No more. That's it. You can hold tryout camps in the spring all day, every day. There'll be no draft picks going to kickers or punters. But Jason Sanders made like $4 million last year. And would I go to 5 to bring him in? Yeah. What the heck? Why not? What do you think of Jason Sanders? Forget Jake Moody, move on from Jake Moody, go with the veteran kicker, and start a new era. What do you think?
I'm with you 100% on that. The Moody era should be over. They're going to have competition in camp and then probably move on. I think that's kind of what that's going to look like. And yeah, I think Jason Sanders, a vet that you can rely on, that you don't have to worry about the head games and all that kind of stuff and whatever else. I love that. And if you can't get Sanders, man, I'm taking Kevin Krueger, baby. I'll take anybody. I don't give a damn. Somebody that I can trust out there. You cannot trust Moody. How's it go? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. I forget how the rest of it goes, but they got to stay in Tennessee. Can't fool me twice. Anyway, that's the way it goes. So I am done with Moody. The 49ers currently have the highest drafted kicker and the highest drafted punter in the NFL, neither which have ever had a top 5 year. It's asinine. Stop spending draft capital on special teams, kickers, and punters. It's dumb. It is dumb.
Another player that's rumored to be on the trade block or potentially as a cap casualty, and I cross-connected this with about 5 different articles that all had his name in there, because when I saw it, I'm like, I don't believe it. I really don't believe they're going to cut this guy. And I called my buddy who covers the team, and he said he's absolutely, potentially a cap casualty. And I was like, really? And it's DK Metcalf.
Yeah, Seahawks.
What do you make of
bad.
DK Metcalf?
My Seahawks guys that I talk to too, that know football, they want to keep DK. They want to build around him, but Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf is gone. They're not keeping that triumvirate wide receiver group, which is one of the best in the NFL. One of those guys are gone. So you either trade DK, cut DK, or you release Tyler Lockett. I think they want DK to build around. I really, really do. But the Seahawks cap it's god awful, and they've got nothing to show for it. And now you're switching offensive coordinators, so you got to change their offensive schemes, changing almost completely. They're in a rough spot. What do you do with Geno? He has $0 guaranteed dollars on his contract left. They're just, man, the Seahawks are kind of in this weird space where it's just like, not that they're going to blow it up with a second-year coach, but they did win 10 games last year, and you have to give them credit for that. They have won 10 games. They are in a better space somewhat than the 49ers were in 2024 for sure. But I think DK stays. I think Tyler Lockett goes, but I won't be shocked if it's the other way around.
A lot of talk in the last 24 hours that if they do indeed lop off Tyler Lockett, that Pete Carroll wants him. And he wants him bad in Vegas with the Raiders. But this was the article, and it was basically that DK Metcalf could be shopped. He's 27 years old. He's had 900 receiving yards in each of his first 6 seasons as a pro. But they have Jackson Smith and the Jigba, and he's going to be their number one guy. He's posted 1,100 receiving yards and made the Pro Bowl this year. And DK's not under contract for 2026. And there's a lot of talk coming out of Seattle that Mike McDonald may look to get right on the cap by moving DK for some draft capital. I mean, here's the 49ers. People immediately go, well, why would Seattle deal with the Niners? Well, why, for whatever they would get back. And then the other thing is, well, what about, does DK fit the Niners? He's not a route runner. He had a worse 3-cone drill, if going back to the combine, than Tom Brady. I mean, He has no lateral agility. He's really a go pattern guy. But on the Niners, that's what they need. They need their vertical threat. They have JJ. They have Pearsall. They have Cowing. They have Garendo. They have guys who can catch it underneath the 3 to 5 yard short pattern, the intermediate pattern. What they don't have is the go pattern. They don't have the vertical threat. And I'm looking at this draft and I'm thinking, you know what? Every single one of these guys is going to be, a little bit of a work in progress. I mean, you may get a rookie receiver that produces a first year, but the odds are you won't. And maybe it's worthy of going for a veteran. Now, this guy's kind of flawed, but I don't know what it's going to cost you. I mean, when I asked around about what people thought he'd fetch in a trade, I was told a 4th round draft choice, that he's going to go for a 4th round draft choice. Now, if DK Metcalf is out there for a 4th round draft choice, I think I would offer a late 3rd and try to jump the line. At least you've got a big time difference making speedster. You saw the speed when he, in that Dallas game, when he just ran down the middle of the field. They were in the old throwback Seattle jerseys, and he just absolutely went crazy. I mean, he showed maybe some of the best speed we've seen on the football field all year from any receiver. at whatever he is, 6'4", 225, or whatever he weighs. What do you think? Do you see a fit with DK in the Niners scheme, or would Shanahan, as Jan Chosla says, DK doesn't run the routes he's supposed to, Shanahan couldn't stand him? What do you think?
I think that as long as Ayuk is out, he could fit. He's not the prototypical X in the Shanahan scheme. No, you put him in the Deebo role, he could do everything Deebo does route-wise. Now,
can he run the end arounds and do all those gadget things that Deebo does?
Yeah, probably not like that. But he could run drift. He could run like, the Shanahan, Staples, Yankee, and whatever. If you want to get into route content, he could run those. It's post, it's in breakers. Those aren't hard. He's not a 3-cone guy. But like the 49ers, every team in the NFL would be better with DK Metcalf. I'm not a DK fan because I think he's soft and because I think he can get in his head, which the 49ers have shown repeatedly. But man, if you trade for him, it's going to cost whatever team gets him $10 million this year. That's it. $10 million. So if you gave up a 4th-round pick for DK Metcalf, would they trade him in division? Probably not, but if it was the best offer, maybe. But then you let the contract expire, he goes signs elsewhere, now you got a comp pick. So, like, very similar to what we did with Chase Young, where you offer a 3rd-round comp pick, he plays out the year for you, he leaves, you get a 4th-round comp pick back. Like, it cost you nothing, and you got, a year's worth of whatever out of him. So, one, you would have to beat every other offer for DK Metcalf to be for the Seattle Seahawks to consider you, because they'd have to play against them twice. But
unless you had a player that you were going to trade them that they wanted, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that they do. The Niners do, but
the Deebo DK swap, why not? Let's make it happen. They have the same agent.
Are you kidding me? I would do that in a freaking heartbeat. I don't know that Seattle would. Okay. 2 last ones before we jump into our mock draft. Matt Barrows there was a mock draft on The Athletic, and it was a beat writer mock draft. I don't know if you saw this one. And when it came time for the Niners pick at 11, Matty went with Tyler Warren. And we have a lot of people, Z Niners says, Tyler Warren instantly better than Pearsall and Jennings. Well, let's read what Matty wrote. He said, yes, there are bigger needs along the Niners' offensive and defensive lines, but Kyle Shanahan would have a hard time turning down a chess piece like Tyler Warren. With one versatile weapon, Deebo Samuel likely on his way out, and another fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, approaching his 33rd birthday, Shanahan could be craving someone he can line up all over the field. That Warren is big and physical enough to play in line also could save George Kittle some of those snaps and prolong George's career. For years, the Niners have been eyeing an Aaron Hernandez, Rob Gronkowski-like personnel grouping. A Kittle-Warren duo, that would drive defensive coordinators mad. The Niners did have Jordan Reed for a very short amount of time, and that 2 tight end look could really be valuable if you had the right guy. What do you think of making your big splash, being that the Niners go for a tight end, possibly as high as 11? What do you think?
This tight end class is unbelievable. I think there are 3 elite tight ends that could go in the first round. Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, and, you mentioned Harold Fannin Jr. Those 3 guys are great. I really do like Tyler Warren. I think 11 is a major mistake, but let's talk about the pros. You look at Tyler Warren, and it's very easy to see the comps because of the size and how physical he plays with the ball in his hands. It's reminiscent of Gronk. I don't like comparing people to Gronk, and especially whenever you look at Tyler Warren blocking. What people don't understand, Tyler Warren has, I think the 3rd lowest run blocking grade of any tight end that is draft eligible. Yeah, he's physical with the ball in his hands. He's not a good quality blocker. Does that mean he does not warrant the 11th pick? No. And people are like, well, look at Brock Bowers. Look what he did and how he, has been incredible. Showed up. Tyler Warren and Brock Bowers, they're both tight ends. They don't play the same position. They're not even comparable. You want to talk about routes? Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren aren't on the same page. Tyler Warren's not on the same route as Harold Fannin Jr. He's not on the same route level as Colston Loveland. Yes, he is a freak, and if you get the ball in his hands, he is unbelievable. How many targets does George Kittle get a game? Maybe 6? What are we going to do for Warren? Maybe 2 or 3 tops? I don't think that warrants. Kyle Shanahan runs the most 12 personnel. We said this earlier in the show, Larry, but I don't see you finally get a pick high. your team would be better, and I'm okay with that. But how long is George Kittle going to play? This dude's going to be tight end 2 for another 3 years before he's an actual, getting 20 to 30 snaps a game for 3 years. I don't think that warrants that pick. And I don't even care if it's Brock Bowers or the best tight end ever. Like, you have issues on the offensive line and defensive line. Address the trenches. That's a luxury pick. Would your team be better? Yes. Is it a misuse of draft capital? 100% yes. That's why I don't think that it's a smart pick, but I get it. And everybody wants the fun pieces for Kyle Shanahan, including Shanahan. I'm staying away here. I'm not going Tyler Warren at 11.
Everybody loves big shiny things, right? I mean, we've been talking about some of them, with these cap casualties and that kind of thing. But I would say, as somebody who's looked at all these guys pretty extensively, don't fall in love with Warren and Loveland at the top. Just don't. And go and let somebody else pick those guys and go get your tight end later in the draft. Why? For some of the reasons, John just talked about with Warren. There's going to be limited usage of him as a second tight end, even if you go 2 tight ends. Loveland's had a lot of shoulder problems. He's really, really, really high end. He's a way better mover than Tyler Warren, which is, I think, probably why John likes him. But he reminds me a lot of Kelsey, but he's got shoulder problems. Shoulder problems are recurring, and that's always a concern. That has to be checked out. His shoulders have to be checked out extensively at the combine by the Niners doctors. But I would say pass on Warren, pass on Loveland. Why? Just because there's so many guys in this draft class at tight end that aren't those guys, but are reasonable facsimiles, right? Guys that could really make an impact. Aronde Gadsden from Syracuse is a phenomenal flexed out receiver / tight end. Urasek from Georgia. Prieskorn from Ole Miss. Jackson Hawes. You name it. Carter Runyon. I mean, Rivaldo Fairweather. There's a lot of guys. Jalen Conyers is one of my very favorite tight ends. And they're saying he's not even going to go get drafted at all. So, I mean, this is a really, real Mitchell Evans, Terrence Ferguson, Mason Taylor, Arroyo from Miami. There's a bunch of tight ends in this draft. So I would not reach for Warren or Loveland. That's not the way I would hit tight end. 3 last ones. Shanahan's not going to the combine. Does it matter?
No. Not in today's age, not post-COVID, not with, all your scouts, all that stuff. I talk to people that go to the combine and cover it, and I ask them how it is, and they're like, man, to be honest with you, you get more information, you get a better angle. If you watch it, it's fully televised. Yeah. It's a TV deal. So, no, it's not an issue, and people that make it an issue probably are running out of stuff to cover actually football-wise because they have a little bit limited knowledge. I just don't think that that's an issue. Personally.
Yeah.
But
you had, and I stole this from you on Niners Nightly. I used it as my 49ers stat of the week. This was a great one, John. You tweeted out this week, 49ers offense converted under 48% of their third and short situations, which is defined as 2 yards or less, into first downs. Only the Browns were worse in these situations. John, first of all, great stat. And it really does illustrate that, we've been gaslit endlessly all year about how great Juice is, about how great Brendel is. And if either of those guys were great, the Niners wouldn't be second to last in this stat. They have Christian McCaffrey and a big backup running back in J.P. Mason. And both those guys had have good stats. I mean, J.P. Mason went for over 5 yards a carry, was the hottest back in football for about a month. When you saw that stat that the Niners had converted under 48% on third and short into firsts, second worst in the NFL, what comes to mind? Who are you here to blame? Are you here to blame Juice? Are you here to blame Kyle? Are you here to blame CMC? Are you here to blame Brendel, Banks? One of these guys must be blamed for that stat. Who's getting the blame?
Yeah, I think it's a hurricane of issues. It's so many that are there. I think it starts with Jake Brendel. Whenever you have the softest center at the point of attack, it's not good. I think Kyle Shanahan without CMC was limited and his play calling and forced to throw all the damn time. But, that chart referenced running the ball. Well, it's hard to run the ball whenever you have a terrible center and a terrible left guard at the same time with Trent Williams out. Trent Williams can alleviate some of the limitations of Aaron Banks, but whenever he's injured or not playing, you don't get that bonus either. So Kyle Juszczyk, yes. Kyle Juszczyk should be used 20 snaps a game tops, and it's certain mismatch personnel, but we're using him as a short yardage back and a third down receiver. Like, that is not what Kyle Shanahan is in 33 years old. It's not what he was at 22 years old, let alone 30. So you're misusing so many guys, but we always hear Chris Forrester and Kyle Shanahan say, well, we need the playmakers, the dynamic skill players. Man, one hiccup, and if that's CMC out or Ayuk out or whatever else, people just look lost. And guess who won the Super Bowl? The team that can convert the highest number of third and shorts in the NFL, the Eagles. So whenever you can get those gimmies and continue those, moving the chains and extend those drives consistently, good things happen. And whenever you can't run the ball in short yardage situations because your center, your left guard, you're missing injuries, whatever else, your offensive play caller's panicking, that's just not the way to win football at any level. High school, NFL, college, don't give a damn. Run the ball, force your will. You can't do that with Jake Brindle and Aaron Banks up there.
You heard George Kittle this week. He's like, hey, man, Philly won the Super Bowl with a great O-line, great D-line. Let's get a great O-line, let's get a great D-line, and let's take our shot. And I would love to see the Niners upgrade that offensive line and that defensive line, but especially at the point of attack on both sides. I think that's key. All right, last topic before we hit the mock. A lot of controversy around Deebo Samuel about what's going to happen here. Okay, so there, Invader 49ers was hot to trot because Matt Barrows came out and said, Matty came out. He says, Invader says Barrows is the best beat reporter at Niner headquarters. I agree. But then he says, not an option. Even Barrows says Deebo will be released. So Barrows has come out and said Deebo will be released. Jeremy Fowler came out this week and said there's several teams that are checking in with the 49ers and have expressed interest, preliminary talks on a potential trade between Deebo and his agent and various teams have begun. So I'll just throw it to you. Is Deebo going to be released and the Niners are going to take a less of a cap hit? Or is John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, are they willing to take a little bit more of a cap hit to trade him to ensure draft pick compensation? One of the trades I saw today said that they may be able to get a 4th and a 5th round draft choice in return for Deebo. Some people think he's not going to get anything. The teams will simply wait for the Niners to release him. But, the bottom line is there's only one Deebo. And every team can't wait it out because he's only going to go to one team. If you trade for him, you can kind of claim dibs, and maybe that's worthy. He is kind of a one of one. Denver's looking for a joker. There's a few different teams that might look at the Niners O-line and be like, hey, their O-line's not good. That's why he wasn't good. I think there'll be some teams that won't look at the film, that will just look at his age and say, oh, he's got a lot left. But in reality, his body age is probably more like 32, 33. What do you think? Where are you on Deebo? Is he going to be released as Invader 49er is insisting? Or are you in Charlie Higgs' camp? He says Barrows said that because he wasn't aware of the interest that Deebo would get. What do you think?
I'm not an insider. I have no sources. I want no sources. That's not who I want to be.
Right.
I would say if I'm putting money on it or whatever else, I'm going to say 85% chance he gets released, 15% chance he gets traded, because that contract is just a mess. And the Niners have a ticking time bomb with that March 22nd option. So you have exactly 1 month to the day to move Deebo. So if I'm a team, I'm just like, man, we know that day's coming. So it may be a 7th rounder, 6th rounder, some day 3 pick, or we just wait. And guess what? If we miss that, no other team is under pressure except for the 49ers. So if I'm a team that, man, you know what? Deebo would help our team, but let's just wait and see, because March 22nd, man, we've got free agency. We've got March 22nd deadline. We've got the draft. If we miss out on Deebo, who cares? there's lots of guys we can get in free agency or the draft. We don't have to act like we are against or under pressure. That's the 49ers. And Jeremy Fowler does great work. I follow him. I think he does great work. Jeremy Fowler ends are almost always through the agents. That's why whenever I saw that report, I chuckled. I was like, this was written by an agent. If there ever was an agent written tweet in the history. Now, again, I have no sources. That's just my own interpretation of the thing. Fowler's incredible, and he is plugged in. But this isn't a 49ers putting that out. That is Deebo's agent saying, man, all these teams are interested. Really? I'm sorry, Larry. I just do not see it. Not because I'm an anti-Deebo guy, but just why would you jump to the forefront of this whenever there's just so many other options through free agency, other cap casualties, and the Niners have the closest deadline with that March 22nd option that they built in on the renegotiation. They lost that renegotiation, and now Deebo gets to control where he goes.
It's February 22nd. As John just said, March 22nd is that deadline. Deebo will be gone in a month.
1 month.
One way or another, he will be gone in a month.
You want to know what makes it worse, Larry, real quick?
Yeah.
I stockpiled autographed Deebo jerseys for our 40 Rush road trips as giveaways. So I've got like 8 autographed Deebo Samuel jerseys to give away, and it's just like my stock is plummeting. I'll still be giving them away to somebody. Somebody's going to want them.
Oh, people will want them. People will want them. All right, let's hit a couple supers, and then we'll do our mock. Matthew Shorts is Bosa paired with Landon Jackson or Savion Jones, youth and veteran depth. Matthew, I like that thinking. I
love Landon Jackson.
Big edge rushers. Those are big edge rushers. Tommy Huxley and good ones, too. Tommy Huxley said, John was a great coach, but not sports. Life. I mean, like cereal, like the cereal.
Hey, don't trash Cinnamon Life. That is a high-quality cereal. Tommy's a good friend. Appreciate you, brother.
If you can have any cereal, forget health, forget cost, forget anything. What is the number one cereal in your mind?
Easy. Peanut butter Captain Crunch. Make no qualms about it. Number one of all time. It's the GOAT cereal, man.
I was going to say Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I got
Solid.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the double box at Costco. I couldn't even get it in the house, and my wife was like, we're taking that back. We're taking that back. What do you want to give our kids diabetes? I'm like,
It's so good.
I just bought a box of cereal, and now I'm being accused of killing the kids.
Hey, I love Costco, man.
We got this one. DC says, definitely time for a kicker change. Moody needs a change, and the Niners organization needs to take their L on that draft pick. Thank you. Amen to that. And Joe Mama. What's up, Joe Mama? He says, not sure how the 49ers don't take an offensive tackle with the 11th pick. If 38, Williams goes down, the 49ers season is most likely over. Yeah. I mean, nobody's saying that they won't. They may go offensive tackle. All right, it is time for our mock draft. I'm going to share the screen. And this week, John and I, we always have a different theme. And this week, the theme is we are going to do, where is it? Oh, there it is. We're going to go, first of all, we're going to use the mock draft database.
Oh, I'm excited.
And we're going to go with great athletes. With the combine coming up, we're going with guys who have that next level athleticism. I will be shopping for my draft picks exclusively. So I want to pretend that I have info that I don't. I'm going to give you some numbers on some of these guys. We're going to go for the greatest athletes. I'm a big fan of Bruce Feldman, who writes the Freaks list for The Athletic, and he writes all about college football, not just the Freaks list, but he has his Freaks list every spring, and he comes out and he tells you who power cleans the most and who lifts the most and who are the freakiest athletes after he consults with all the strength and conditioning coaches around college football. And then he puts together his top 100. Well, this week he put together his top 40 list of freaks who will be at the combine or in this upcoming NFL draft. I will be drafting off of Bruce Feldman's freaks list. If he's not on the freaks list, he will not be part of my draft. John, I don't know how you want to get athletic dominant guys. You can go any way you want. But what do you think of our?
Do you remember when Kyle
week?
Shanahan drafted Ricky Pearsall and he said, "Hey, why'd you draft Ricky Pearsall?" And Kyle Shanahan goes, "Well, he kind of reminded me of myself and how I played wide receiver." You remember him saying that?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about elite athletes, I'm looking for future John Chapmans. I want that high. I'm joking, of course. But no, so Bruce Feldman's freaks list, I'm definitely going off that. Also, just some background stuff that I've done because, man, there's 40 on Bruce Feldman's list, which is incredible. He does the best draft work out there. But, yeah, so I've got a little background stuff I'm going to look into, too. This is going to be fun. So this is going to be kind of the all-combine, who to watch at the combine list. And I think if there was one general manager, Chris Ballard of the Colts, this is actually how they draft. This is legitimately how they target players. And that's why the Colts have one playoff win since he showed up since 2017.
Have you noticed that if you go look at Trent Baalke's track record of drafting, that there's some amazing hits to DeForest Buckner and others, and then there's some amazing misses because he takes a lot of injured players. But one thing that I love that Baalke did do when he was here and has continued to do it in Jacksonville, and now he's fired, is that he'll try to marry great college production with elite athleticism and elite athletic traits, and injuries be damned and character be damned. Okay. And when you draft like that, you wind up with Aldon Smith, right? Because you drafted a guy who's had great production and freaky athleticism. And I do think that if you want to, I mean, what is Jerry Rice at the end of the day? What was Jerry Rice? He was crazy college production and cutting edge athleticism in the same player.
Yep.
And if you can find that, if you can find the college football player who produced at an absurd level and then tests at an absurd level, I will cross compare those guys. And, as the vice president said, I love Venn diagrams. If you cross compare great college production with elite physical traits, John, I think that is where you find superstars. I think that's where you get the creme de la creme. If you say, what is your mindset in the draft? That's what I'm trying to marry. College production, elite level athleticism. You were good enough to be great at football in college, but you have high level athletic traits that will tell us that you're likely to be great in the pros. So some guys have one, but not the other. They've got some guys are great workout guys, but they didn't do anything in college. Some guys are great, college players, but they're limited athletically, and they're going to be like, I'll give you one in this draft. I think Scatabo, great college football player. I'm very interested to see how he tests out. If he tests out as a subpar athlete, he's probably going to go in the 5th round. So I don't know how he's going to test out, but I have a feeling he might not test out really, really highly. All right. Do you want to go first or do you want to go second?
Yeah, let's man, I kind of want to go first because I want to skew this just a little bit. I have a player that I hope is available that I want to talk about for a long time. but I'm gonna let I think I went first last, so I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let
go
you
first
shoot your
now.
shot. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going first. All right. So once again, I'm shopping off the freaks list, and I want great college production and great athleticism, and I want to marry the two. Gosh, this is tough, but I think I'm gonna go. Oh, it's really challenging because the way this thing went is really, really intriguing on a lot of fronts. But I think I'm gonna, and I guess I could look at the trades real quick. I guess.
Yeah, why not? Why not? The best thing that the 49ers could do is trade down if that's available. That's the best.
Yeah, I don't want to trade. The Eagles have called offering next year's one to move down to the 3rd round. I'm not doing that. I also could offer a trade. Let me see. I could probably offer a trade if I wanted to move down a spot or two. I could move down with Arizona and try to get their 2nd round.
Probably
pick.
my favorite draft trade down spot is Arizona at 16. That's my favorite. But again, like I'll say this, not one time in the history of the NFL in the past 25 years has a second round pick been involved in a trade with the number 11 pick. Not once. It's almost always third rounders or future firsts. But I want that second rounder.
I know. I want that second rounder too. But you know what?
There's a lot of good players here.
There's a lot of good players there. And I'm really debating between a couple of players that I really like, but I think I'm going to hold true to my belief. I'm going to go with this guy right here, Jalon Walker. Jalon Walker to me is really, really a crazy athlete. I think he's one of the best athletes in this draft across the board. 6'2", 245-pound junior. And he can be an off-the-ball linebacker, but he's also got ferocious pass rush. Bruce Feldman says his closing speed is scary. He won the Butkus Award as the top linebacker. He made 60 tackles, 10.5 TFLs, 6.5 sacks, dominated Texas in both of those games against Georgia. He had 6 combined TFLs and 4 sacks in those games. The Georgia coaches, according to Feldman, say that he could run in the 4.4s in Indy, and he could vertical around 36 inches. So I'm going to take Jalon Walker. I think, to me, he has elite athleticism. I've been told he's like the hardest working guy in that defense. I think he's scheme versatile. He can go. I think you can't have. Everything's about pass rush these days, John. So you need all 4 of your down linemen to be able to rush the passer, but you also need your linebackers to be great delayed blitzers because that's another way that you can cook up pass rush. And I'm going Jalon Walker, and I'm going to play him as a stack backer, and on key third downs, I'm going to play him off the edge, and I'm going to move him around. He's going to be a jack of all trades. This guy can close ground like almost no other player that I've seen in this draft. He's smart, so he reads and reacts pre-snap, and he diagnoses well. I'm going Jalon Walker to start this thing off.
I ain't mad about it. I want to be honest with you. And I think people need to get a little bit more used to seeing Jalon Walker as a possibility early. He's going to crush the combine. He's going to crush it. All right, so we're up at 43.
You're up at 43, and you got a full board, and I can move it around any way you want.
Oh, man, I'm seeing a lot of fits. Okay, so if we're talking elite athletes, Nick Emanwore, the safety, he has to be at the top of the list. That dude is a freak. Grazed the bell. I like him. Let's keep scrolling down just a little bit, Larry, if you don't mind. Princely Uman Mielen, Trey Harris, JT. Oh, I like JT, man.
They say Isaiah Bond. I mean, you're a Texas guy. They're saying Isaiah Bond may run 4.26.
He will.
Just saying.
He is a better athlete than he is a football player. I don't think Isaiah Bond should go day 1 or day 2 personally. Now, hold on just a second. I saw a couple names that I really, really do like as far as like workouts. And so again, we're kind of shining a spotlight on some players perhaps we don't always talk about. Right. Ariante Irsay, offensive tackle, Minnesota. 6'5", 339. He's got the production. He's got all of those things. He hit over 18 miles per hour on his GPS tracker multiple times. He might have the best 10-yard split of any offensive lineman in this draft class. So if you're looking for that elite movement, if you wait on offensive tackle, I think that this is one of those players that is one of the few. He's number 13 on Bruce Feldman's freak list that you talked about. So I'm going to go offensive tackle. I want to build in the trenches. You took a hybrid player that helps defensive line. I'm going Ariante Irsay, offensive tackle, Minnesota, freak that can play right tackle, can play guard, can work left tackle. He's going to probably start at left guard for us and then move to something along there. I don't like waiting on offensive tackle personally, Larry, but you got to get one at some point in this draft.
This guy, Irsay, is just he's just so wide. I mean, he's a 3-year starter at left tackle for Minnesota, well coached, 6'5", 340, first team All Big Ten this year, voted second team All Big Ten last year. He's from Kansas City. He was excellent in track and field. They say as a shot putter in high school, through the discus, the javelin. They said clocked 152. 10-yard split, which is a program record for offensive linemen, which at this guy's body type, that this guy's that fast, is pretty amazing. He also hit 18 miles an hour on the GPS. He says if he matches that 152 or gets close to it, there'll be some jaws on the floor. Yeah, exactly. I mean, seriously, that's like a Brock Purdy time. Brock Purdy's 10-yard split was 154. You're telling me that Arianti Ursi at 6'5", 340 moves faster and quicker than Brock Purdy?
Sign me up, man. I'm telling you,
that's pretty freaking amazing, is it not?
It's unreal, man. So, again, what are we doing today? We're highlighting the workout dominant freaks, these imposing figures, Jalen Walker, Irsay. Man, we're 2 for 2 when we got in the trenches. So, Our Venn diagram, I feel like we're in the sweet spot.
Seriously, right now we've got some great athletes. All right, so now we're at pick number 75. And, there's no question I'm seeing a couple guys on the freaks list right here already. Man, I love Demetrius Knight. Tez is right there. God, nobody could hang with Tez. Makuba. Oh, my God, Makuba. Bashul Tootin. There's a lot of interesting guys there. Let me check my freaks list. So, okay, so I'm going at Shamar Stewart's gone. Carter's gone. Hunter, those guys are all gone. Let's see. Jalen Walker, I've got. Let's see. Where are we here? Let's check the defensive line. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a defensive tackle yet.
Don't have a defensive tackle, and that's a concern. And we're now getting into an area where there's some really good ones.
I love third-round DTs.
Yeah, I mean, there's some real good ones here. Now, offense, let me see. Edge, there's some great athletes off the edge. Let me check here. Who, I'll give you one. We didn't go tight end, and right off the start. Well, you know what? The Savion Jones. I got to go Savion Jones. This is another edge rusher, but he can play inside. Do I go Savion Jones there? Wait a second. Let's see. Who's the highest guy on the board is Elijah Arroyo. You know what? I'm going to go Elijah Arroyo.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is another, let's see where Feldman had him on the freaks list. But he's another guy who works out at a really, really high level. And a lot of people feel like Arroyo is going to be a very, very special player. I'm just trying to see where he is on the freaks list here.
I'm not sure he's going to be on there, but he's close. He's an athlete. He's a move guy.
Yeah, he's a great. He looked great at the Senior Bowl. But I thought someone had him down here as an elite athlete. Maybe I could have swore I saw him on here. Maybe he's not. Oh yeah, no, he is. Okay, so here he is. He's number 9 on the freaks list.
Oh.
So this is what he says about him. The latest in a deep and talented pipeline of Canes tight ends. He was finally healthy. He became a big weapon for Cam Ward. Caught 35 balls for 590 and 7 touchdowns. He's 6'5", 251. He had scouts at the Senior Bowl raving over his agility and route running. He's expected to run the 40 in the low 4.5s at the combine. So a lot of buzz around Arroyo. And let's see the other note. Let's see. That goes on to say, let's see if I can get, there we go. His shuttle times, they're saying, are going to be elite, according to the offensive coordinator, Shannon Dawson. Said Arroyo moves like a huge wideout, and he'll become a Pro Bowler before too long. So, yeah, those short shuttle. The one thing about, if you look at the 49ers and if you look at Adam Peters, when Peters was here, he really emphasized the short shuttle. They really like that quickness, that change of direction and the quickness that you oftentimes are highlighted by the short shuttle. So this is a guy who definitely is going to, according to the reports, is going to be really good in that short shuttle. And so I'm going to go Elijah Arroyo from Miami. I know it's, there may be better tight ends, but this guy, the database gives us an A+. We've got an A, an A+, and an A+ so far.
I like
but I'm
these
going
grades.
Elijah Arroyo, and you're up at 99 now. And
I gotta see defensive tackles. Oh my God!
There's Josh Farmer, there's Jordan Phillips, there's J.J. Pegues, there's Aeneas Peebles, who I love, C.J. West, who I love. There's Simeon Barrow, who I really like. Then there's guys down here, Nazir Stackhouse, Tonka Hemingway, Vernon Broughton, Tafuna.
I was really hoping
Jay
Ashton
Toyia is
Gelati
actually pretty dominating.
Was going to be there, but he is not there. So
who
let's
you
scroll
looking
back.
for?
I was hoping for Ashton Gelati, the Louisville defensive tackle. He kind of plays end. He's a hybrid guy. They might have him as an edge guy.
Yeah, they might have him as an edge. No,
he was on there a while ago. He just went. That's okay. We still love him. So let's go back. I still want to look at the defensive tackles because I feel like that's the biggest need. We haven't addressed that yet. So Elijah Roberts.
There's also a chance that, the Niners could make a play for DJ Jones in free agency, and that would lessen the need for a tackle. I mean, they still need a tackle, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at, who's somebody with great production. Stackhouse is there, 6'3", 320. He is an absolute beast.
I think he's very underrated here. I don't know why the mocks don't seem to like him.
Oh, I think that he's going to go a lot earlier than where we're at right now. I'm trying to find again we've got to get a defensive tackle, and we've got to get somebody that can play some. Scroll back up on that defensive tackle list if you don't mind to the top part.
It's Joshua Farmer.
I don't know where he fits as far as 6'2", 314. Threshold teams will love him. So here we go. Listen to this. So yeah, I think that this fits. This is going to be my pick here. Joshua Farmer, defensive tackle, Florida State. Now he might not be the elite athlete, but he's got the elite thresholds. This is a Trent Baalke guy, 35+-inch arms. That's like elite offensive tackle length, 6'10" wingspan, length, strength, workout warrior. This is going to be my guy right here, so I like it. We got to get defensive tackles. I might get another defensive tackle later, but Joshua Farmer, Florida State, they always get those high threshold guys, and I think he fits.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Okay, let's see. I'm just scouring the freaks list to see who's the freakiest of freaks that's still left. And that the beauty of the freaks list too is it sometimes will help you find a guy on day 3 because you're like, wow, this guy just fell. Let's see. Let me check the list here. I want to check the defensive tackles. Is Darius from Missouri, from Toledo? Is he there? Darius?
I didn't see him.
No,
I didn't see him, but I think Darius Alexander's going day 2 of the draft. So we'll have to see because some other guys are low on, but I think he's gone. I would have taken him in a heartbeat.
Let's go to all and see who's up top. You know what? I'm going to go freaky.
It's hard.
Okay,
man.
Here's this. I'm going freak here. This guy's a total freak. Savion Jones. And I've gone Savion Jones in a number of mocks, so I'm a big Savion Jones head. He's just, he's 6'6", 290, and he's too quick for the inside guys, and he's too strong for the outside guys. I love him as a first and second down edge player, and I love him as a third down interior player. And I think that I want to have at least one guy, maybe two, that are just going to we're going to move them around defensive linemen. And so Savion Jones is an edge rusher, but he also helps at tackle. So he helps inside on passing downs. I'd like to get 3 tackles out of this, maybe 2 legit tackles and one that's like a combo, and Savion would be my combo. And LSU just gets the most amazing athletes. This guy's going to test out at a really high level. He's going to be 90th percentile in a couple things because he's so great as a mover. Now we pick back to back. We're at pick 138, and you're up.
All right, let's scroll down. Let's see what we got available here. Looking for the Workout Warriors.
Workout Warriors. You're looking for Workout Warriors. Olufemi Oladejo.
Etienne.
David Walker is a Workout Warrior.
That's your guy right there.
I do. I'm probably going David Walker if he's on the board next time. Or he probably will be on the board. He's only one pick away. J.J. Pegues is a great athlete. This Aeneas Peebles, I think, is a great athlete. Let's see. C.J. West is a great. The Rondé Gadsden's a great athlete.
We got all your guys right here, man.
We got a bunch. There's definitely a bunch, but it's also the kind of the part of the Jabbar Muhammad's a good player and really good athlete, I think. This Brashard Smith from SMU moves incredibly well. What position would you like me to highlight for you?
Man, I've seen a lot of guys just on your list that I actually kind of like, and I said I wanted to go kind of defensive tackle again. I want to talk Riley Mills, Notre Dame, 6'5", 295. Athleticism's great. Track and field, he was a shot discus stud. So I think you've got that explosiveness. Did I miss him? Was he not on there? He was on
there he is. No, there he is.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I want defensive tackles, man. If the Niners walk out of this draft with I want 3. I want them all. And so maybe you get one in free agency and then you pair one with the draft. But this defensive tackle draft class is the best that I can remember. Riley Mills, Notre Dame. I want defensive tackles.
Riley Mills it is. All right. So now we have 4 trade offers for pick 139. This is a no-brainer. Move down 2 spots for an extra 5th-round pick. That's a no-brainer. I'll say no to that one from the Bears. This Carolina's offering to move down 2 spots for.
That's like it's almost identical to the Isaac Guerrero trade the Niners did, where you give 2 5ths up to jump up into the 4th round. So if somebody falls, sometimes teams do that.
Yeah, I made that trade just to pick up an extra pick. So I pick 141. But I'm still I'll look at all. Let's see who the greatest athletes are here. So what do we need? We got an edge rusher, but he's kind of a stacked linebacker. We got an offensive lineman. We got a tight end. We got a defensive tackle. We got an edge rusher / defensive tackle. We got another defensive tackle. So it's really there's a lot of different options here. I'm going edge rusher here with David Walker. David Walker is a really amazing athlete. Now, he's got a totally forgettable name. If you say David Walker, that doesn't, nobody says anything. But 3-time FCS All-American, 2 times Freaks List, presence, 63 TFLs, 31 sacks, 6 forced fumbles in 3 seasons and 34 games. He's 6'2", 260, but they say he's going to test well. His 40-yard dash, they say, is going to be 4.59 with a vertical of 36 and a 385-pound power clean. This guy is exactly what I talked about at the beginning. He is got workout numbers that are off the charts, and he's got college production that is really, really good. When you can marry college production and elite athletic traits, then that's when you turn in the card. And I'm turning in the card right here, David Walker.
That's your guy, man.
Another edge rusher. And now, granted, you got an edge rusher in David Walker. You got an edge rusher in Savion Jones. And you got an edge rusher in Jalen Walker, potentially, though I like Jalen Walker more as a stacked backer. But I got to have that edge. I got to have that bookend guy. And right now, I feel good because I feel like I don't need to go edge anymore. Between Savion Jones, David Walker, and Jalen Walker, I think they've got enough edge opposite Nick Bosa. And I'm a believer that you can never have enough edge rushers. So I really believe we've got that one. Now let's look at the offers here for.
I love
pick.
that you went all the edge players and I went all the DTs. Like we have our your philosophical ideas on how you build a defense, and we just freaking keep hitting that home. I love it.
Just keep hitting it. So you're at 164. The Raiders have called. They're offering a 6, a 7, and next year's 4 and 5.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I don't think that's realistic. That.
Okay, so now
I want to look at wide receivers and running backs. I want to stud Ricky White, Pat Bryant. Man, there's a lot of good ones here. Oh,
yeah, this is interesting because here's the thing. Ricky White blocked 4 punts in college. 4 are this year. More than any FBS team did all year. Ricky White out punt blocked every team in the FBS. He had 4. So that's interesting. The guy, I'll give you a name that's deep on this list that's on the freaks list. A couple of them. Arian Smith.
Yeah, Georgia. They get those guys. Daquan Felton, too, down there.
Arian Smith they're saying he's going to run the fastest 40 this year. He ran a 10.10 in the 100. He qualified for the NC2A championships. He was also part of Georgia's 4x100 team that qualified for the postseason and set a school record in 2023. He's 6 feet, 185 pounds. He has problems with drops. And he only had 20 catches in his first 4 years at Georgia, but he had a breakout year this year. He caught 48 balls for 817 yards and 4 touchdowns. They're saying given his track pedigree, it would be a surprise if he doesn't run in the 4.2s. 4.2s. So that right there is...
Do you think... I think this might be a little too early for him, though.
No, I agree. No, I agree. And there's also the Stanford kid, Alec Ayumanor.
Oh, I love him. I doubt he's available.
Yeah, but he's also a freak. They're saying he's going to run in the 4.3s.
He had 3 touchdowns and like 200-plus receiving yards against Travis Hunter.
There's Jaden Higgins from Iowa State. You know who's another? I'll tell you another guy who's on this list at 25. Daquan Felton from Virginia Tech. First 4 years he went to Norfolk State, transferred to Vatech, caught 70 passes for 10 touchdowns and more than 1,000 yards the past 2 seasons. They said at the Senior Bowl they measured him at 6'4 1/4, 222 pounds with 33-inch arms. Last offseason, he broad jumped 10.8 and ran 4.42 in the 40 with a 36.5-inch vertical. So he had a pretty good year this year, and he's got great athleticism. But I don't want to lead you.
I'll say this. Anytime Norfolk State Spartans get a reference on a mock draft podcast, that is a good mock draft podcast. So shout out to Larry the Krueger, the legendary. Can we look at running backs as well? There's a lot of wide receivers actually.
Oh, my God. There's a lot of running backs, too. There's Etienne. There's DJ Giddens.
I like
Mullings had a big game against Ohio State. Then my guy, Mananga.
Yarns is there. Yarns is there.
Yarns is on this list as well. There's other guys: Donovan Edwards, Mario Anderson, Montrell Johnson, Ulysses Bentley. There's a lot of good running backs. I mean, this is a very good list.
It's deep. And when you get to day 3, we're picking 164. Larry traded back for this pick. I'm going Marcel Yarns, Delaware, the all-helmet team. My favorite helmets in all of college football. Over 7 yards to carry, speed, explosiveness. Again, a 40-inch vertical. He's already tested officially at a 4.4. You're talking speed. Marcus Yarns, running back, Delaware. I like that pick. I got a D+ grade, Larry.
Breakout year.
That's not cool.
What's that?
I got a D+ grade on that pick. Not
well,
cool.
It doesn't matter. No, never look at the grades because you know what it is? You know more than the guys who are doing these grades. And I absolutely believe that. Marcus Yarns had a breakout year last year, and he had 1,250 all-purpose yards and 18 total touchdowns. Against Penn State, he had a 66-yard touchdown run. This last year, he averaged 7 yards a carry. They're saying his vertical is going to be 40 inches, and he's going to run in the 4.4s. So there you go. That's a good one right there. That is a good one.
Jaden Blue's there. I wish I would have saw Jaden Blue there for Texas.
From Texas. You love Jaden Blue.
I think he's one of the fastest running backs in this class. Yeah.
Okay. So now we are at pick 189. And Ricky White's still there. Aeneas Peebles is still there. I love Aeneas Peebles. I love CJ West. Oh my God, my guy Willie Lampkin's there.
It's your dude. Get your dude.
Oh my God, Willie Lampkin. How do I not go Willie Lampkin? I'm going Willie Lampkin. Willie Lampkin, for those who don't know, is a center, but I want to replace Juice with Willie Lampkin. I think this guy could be an incredible fullback. He's a great wrestler. He's tough as hell. He dominated in the one-on-ones in Mobile. I think he could play center or guard or fullback. And you know what? We only went offensive line once early, so I do want to get that second offensive lineman, and I love me some Willie Lampkin. And once again, marrying college production, great athleticism together, and you wind up with Willie Lampkin. I could have gone a bunch of different directions there, but you're up with pick number 228. What position you want to look at?
I feel like there's a lot of wide receivers that I would really, really like. I'm going to go Ja'Cory Brooks, Louisville, 6'2", 191. He's a little bit older, but this is a guy, I mean, he played at, IMG Academy, and he's been coached and played against the best of the best for a long time. Ja'Cory Brooks, we got to get a wide receiver. I think that he kind of fits that mold the 49ers are looking for.
I like it. Okay, so let's go. The one area I want to get multiple linebackers, and now late in the draft, this is where I think this thing really starts to shake. I love David Benda. Love David Benda. I'm not going David Benda here. I'm going Eugene Asante from Auburn. Let me tell you quickly about Eugene Asante. Eugene Asante was the team captain at Auburn. He had 47 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss. He's 6'1", 219 pounds. He's the younger brother of Larry Asante, former NFL safety. Explosive and strong. Last year, he squatted 635. He benched 405. They clocked him at 448 and a maximum velocity of 22 miles an hour. This guy plays for keeps. He is all about it. He's making tackles in practices. He's productive. He's freaky athletic. He's passionate. To me, at this point in the draft, you're not going to get better than that. Give me Eugene Asante.
I love it.
Now you're up last with the last.
We got to get a center. We got to get a center.
Well, we do have Willie Lampkin, who could be a center.
There we go.
We could, but let's take a look. There are some good ones though. Still, probably Drew Kendall.
Oh, Marcus Ware.
Marcus Ware.
That dude is a freak. He's mean as hell.
Oh yeah, he's definitely mean. And he's got a great base. Marcus Ware would be a fantastic. I think Marcus Ware could be a starter at guard too.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't mind double dipping. They took 2 guards last year. One of these guys, let's get a center. I think it's the biggest single need. Defensive tackle is the biggest position need. But, man, if you could upgrade that center position, I think that it would just be huge. But, man.
You could also go Nazir Stackhouse here if you wanted. He's still on the board.
We got the 2 defensive tackles.
Okay.
So,
yeah. What about what was the other position you said? Wide receiver?
Wide receiver or center, I think, would be the pick here. There's a lot of good wide receivers, like we talked about earlier.
Arian Smith is going to run the 4.2s. Rock Taylor, Niners met with him. Daquan Felton, they're all there. But you might be able to bid on these guys after the draft. Mario Williams from Tulane.
It's
Jordan Watkins from Ole Miss.
Just how deep this
Silas
is. Like,
Bolden.
if this was a 10 round draft, we could still be naming players 3 rounds from now. Like, their undrafted free agent class this year is going to be stellar, man. I hope the Niners pay up big.
Oh, I know. And the Niners have shown what I love about the Niners is they spent $380,000 on Evan Anderson last year because they had a conviction. And I love that. I love that, man, because Evan Anderson is a beast. He's definitely worth that money. Oh, what a great addition he's been. So of all the, and we can go to all, let's see if, sometimes all will give you the sleepers. Let's see, or tell you who slid down the board. So you've got, what about Baron Sorrell?
Yeah, he's a pass rusher guy.
You like him?
I do like him. He's good. But I don't think that he's going to really fit in with this kind of theme that we got going. Again, I'm pretty big on Marcus Ware, man.
I'm there with you. I love the guy. To me, he was very, very consistent, keeping his body in front of the defender. He doesn't lunge. So there we go. There's our draft. This is our draft meant, with the emphasis on just great athletes. We started with Jalen Walker, edge rusher / inside backer from Georgia. Then we want Ariante Ursi, gigantic tackle who's got greater quickness than Brock Purdy. That to me, I got to go watch Ursi again because that's incredible. At his body type, that he could move in a faster 10-yard split than Brock Purdy. That has to be almost investigated. That's like something crazy going on there. Elijah Arroyo from Miami. Can't go wrong there. Joshua Farmer from Florida State. Those guys can fight. Savion Jones from LSU, edge rusher, freaky edge rusher, interior rusher. Riley Mills from Notre Dame, who's sat out the playoffs, but man, what a beast he was this year. David Walker, explosive edge rusher who worked with KJ Wright, by the way, in Mobile. Marcus Yarns from Delaware wears the Michigan helmet, though with white stripes, right, from Delaware. Willie Lampkin, the center / fullback. Goodbye, Juice. Ja'Cory Brooks, the wide receiver from Louisville, who caught balls this year from Tyler Shugg. I went Eugene Asante as the linebacker, who can do it all, and then we went with Marcus Ware. I actually kind of think this might be one of the best mock drafts we've done.
It's pretty solid, man.
Seriously, because we wed, production and athleticism, and we got an incredible group of guys there. You see when you cross compare, you do wind up getting a couple guys who are like maybe you wouldn't have thought of, but you
that's
get
the
them.
whole purpose of this, right? Like,
yeah.
Now we whiffed on corners and safeties, but hey, we're doing that in free agency. That's where we're getting those guys in free agency.
What do you think of Javon Holland?
Yeah, I'd be very, very happy with him, because again, safeties are so cheap. Like, even if you pay for the most premium kind of safety out there, it's a devalued position, so it's not going to hurt you financially. He fits it perfectly.
All right, last couple supers, then we'll bolt for the door. Jaleel was not a super, but he says G. Scott from Ohio State late in the draft, tight end. That's not bad. I kind of like that name. We already hit that one. Okay, we haven't hit these last three. Joe Mama, we got that one. Dale says, when are we doing a free agent show?
We touched on it, but yeah, once we get closer after the combine, I'm sure we'll do an all free agent show. We
can do a free agent show for sure. Big Tone, I also like looking for the freakiest of the freaks. Yeah. No, it is true because you're looking for the greatest athletes. That's what the combine's about. Matt Short says, Larry Being from Toledo, Ohio, Alexander's the real deal. I know. I was looking for him here. If the 49ers could get Jones and Alexander, they should improve their defensive line immensely. Is he talking about Savion Jones or DJ Jones, I wonder? But I definitely love Toledo as a program, and I love that kid Alexander.
And they've gone there before. Samuel Womack was there. So like they've gone.
Quinyon Mitchell for the Eagles last year was tremendous out of Toledo. Even the Rams got that Dawan Johnson with the Mr. Irrelevant pick, and he's been good from Toledo. Dale says, next week, can we draft all left-handed players? Yes, we will.
I love
this. Steve Young's mock by April 1st. This is a mock of guys who only have higher than a 4.2 GPA and who've donated to charity in the last 30 days.
It's going to be Stanford only. Oh, Stanford only draft.
Yes, and we go from Harvard to this person played at Williams College. All right, that's going to do it. John, tell people what if they're not yet, if they're Krug Show fans and they're not yet subscribed to 49er Rush podcast. Tell them where you're at, what kind of content you put out, and basically give yourself a pitch.
Hey, we go every single day at the 49ers Rush podcast. We do about an hour show every single day, except for whenever I'm with Larry and we get off the wall a little bit. Which
we go an hour and a half.
Love. I ain't even mad about it, not even a little bit. But yeah, check us out, 49ers Rush. We're everywhere, social media. Just type in 49ers Rush wherever you watch and or listen for content. Check us out and see if you like us. I think you will. We've been doing this for a while, and we really enjoy it. If you want to learn more about football, enjoy the 49ers, and increase the fun level of being a fan. That's kind of what we're built upon. Larry, I want to say thank you for letting me be on your show, man. Absolute blast all the time, and I love the comments, man. The people in the chat, they go hard over here at the Krueger show. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. They, and sometimes they'll get unruly. They're kind of like, they say a good chat will mirror the host. It's like some teams mirror their coach. It's a knowledgeable crowd that sometimes gets unruly. Who's knowledgeable but sometimes unruly? I'll have to think that over. I may know a guy. My wife is weighing in. What does she say? She says, "You are, honey." Oh, okay. Thanks, honey. Happy belated Valentine's Day. All right. For John Chapman, I'm Larry Krueger. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Thanks to Mancini's. Thanks to Sharp Corners. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Thanks to John. Thanks to all of you. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of.